So when I was talking to Cecily, and she said, asked me to come down, I said, what do you want in the way of a theme? And she said, oh, whatever you like, which is fine. But she said it is Halloween at the weekend, and so perhaps you might like to use Halloween for a theme. And so here I am again using something which is I'm just looking, I can tell that it's the wrong way around because the string's dangling down at the back. So this is another, using a different standard again, which is a more parallel style, but using it to interpret a theme for this demonstration. So I have, when you come to Halloween in the northern hemisphere, it is, of course, harvest time, isn't it? And so Halloween is often associated with harvest, so pumpkins and other sorts of things that go with it, and heads with dripping blood and all that sort of thing. Okay, and so I have some wheat, which is associated. Look at that. That's not parallel, is it? So I have some wheat. The wheat is really nice at the moment because it's still green. So it's not really dry and falling apart, it's partially green, and that makes it better. So with parallel placements, of course they have to be parallel. And so I'll start. So first of all, I have used a container that I got at the bargain basement at Kosh one time. So sometimes you go there and you're just at the right time and you get just the right thing, and that's where this one came from. And I've used it a lot because it is it's a really nice one to use, and it came in 2 different sizes as well. One of the things I find with parallels though is basing. I often leave the basing till the end, and it's such a pain to do, so I've tried to cover the base a bit before I start, and then I can fill in. You can use all sorts of things. You can use pebbles or wood, tan bark or wood chip, anything like that. So I've wound the wool around the base, and I've also added the wool to some of my lots of wheat. Yes, yeah. It stays fine. It stays fine, yes. Yeah. I was surprised, but it does. Yes, I thought it might flop, but it doesn't. No. That was the arrangement's moving, not the turntable. That's good, isn't it? I've fallen into that trap, landing where I've used bark, and then the bark flops because it takes the water up. So I can talk to you through here. And this one, you can see that they're almost the same height, so I'll bring this one down just a little bit more. We should have some varying heights in parallel designs, but because it's not a parallel on the schedule, because I'm just using this as an interpretation, I can do it virtually how I want to, but the elements are the same. The sort of the structure is the same. I've got a brown one. Have you ever tried to make a flower crown out of wheat? Don't. It gets it breaks, it sticks in your fingers, it breaks. You have it all, just everywhere. Pardon? With this one, yeah. I would if I was doing it for a standard, which was a parallel, I would try and make sure that this was unobtrusive. Yeah, so I might just fill it in with something else. But as long as it's, as long as you can cover your base with most things, yes. So you're thinking because it's not sitting up this way, yes. But then again, there is my stand, is it? My stand is horizontal. So, yeah. Okay, another thing that I did was to cover some test tubes with some wool, so they can add as another thing. I tried to get a pumpkin, and I think everybody's thinking Halloween pumpkins, aren't they? I saw Carol got a beautiful little one in there. She's got it in this design down the bottom there. It's a beautiful pumpkin, but no, I didn't have such luck. Not such luck. Now, one good thing about tubes is, if you put them into the oasis or into the floral foam, is that you can use things that you might normally put in floral foam. So poppies, for example, don't like floral foam. Daffodils, some of those bulbous plants will just turn up their tootsies if you put them in the floral foam. So you can use some tubes to cover those things. The other thing, so my solution for not having a pumpkin was to have a pumpkin-shaped capsicum, which I thought was pretty cool. Otherwise, I was going to have a pumpkin that big, and it wasn't going to work for what I wanted. So I'll sit in here, in the bottom. Now, one good thing about these sorts of things is that you can, like a pumpkin, hollow this out, and you could put a pattern in it and put a tea light in there as well. So that's another thing that you could think about when you're thinking outside the box. So I'll bring him around to the front. Just remember where my front was. Sitting in there. If I was doing this for a longer term piece, then I would put a couple of toothpicks in the bottom of that, but at the moment I've just got them sitting in there. And I do have another one, but I don't know that the container's big enough to take it unless I sit him at the back. It might work. Sitting at the side like that. So just have it as a grouping. So you can see. That works. That'll be okay. Do that. Okay, you could also use it as a receptacle to put other flowers in too. That would be because it would contain water, and so it's, that's good. They do flop pretty quickly though, don't they? Capsicum, they go quite soft and they'll fall. So you could probably try and lacquer it. I think sometimes we lacquer things to. I've broken all my wheat. I have to send. So what's happening at the flower markets now? They're still going okay at Flemington? They were excluding people, weren't they?
I think they opened up this week.
Had they? Okay. So was that because it was only... yes, yeah, okay. So anybody can go now?
As far as I'm aware.
Yeah. Okay.
You're right, Lawrence, aren't you? You're open now.
Yeah.
They're allowed in there now. It was this week or last week.
Yeah.
They don't even need the land. For the first 6 months of the year, we've had to have a registered ABN number. And,
Which was a bit hard for people, wasn't it?
it was.
Yeah.
I think they'd like to have it like that all the time, actually.
I think so. They've been trying to make some changes, haven't they?
That includes Saturdays this week?
No, Saturday I think it's... Oh, I don't know about Saturday.
Saturdays.
Still, it's like free for all, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the ordinary, like Paddy's Market on Saturday. So yeah, I think you're able to go Saturday.
So you get, there goes half my things on the floor. So you get the idea then of their parallel up, down, whatever, and some things at the base. Just different sizes, lots of space so that the butterflies can fly through, and a bit of variation with forms and textures. So we've got nice spiky things and nice shiny things at the bottom. That's all. And then later you can come along and trim bits off anyway, so that's okay. And so I've got yellow here and yellow there, and I've got some yellow orchids. Now these, so I'll put these in. Have you had a lot of rain? Has it been raining a lot? Poor old Anne Crusty. She got evacuated for flooding. For fires in January, and then last weekend she got evacuated for flooding.
Oh no.
Yeah. So, and what happened was that all the logs from the fires in Tumbarumba, all the debris washed down into their backyard. So she can't win. She can't take a trick at the moment. She would have liked to have come up for today, but she can't at the moment, as you can understand. She said cleaning up the house was so bad after the fires that some part of her wished that it had burnt down because it took them forever to clean. It was just awful. And the smoke, they had to get rid of the whole lounge suites. They had the biggest skip that you could ever see, and they had to just get rid of things. So, okay, so that gives you sort of an idea. I'll get put one of these guys into the back here too, so that you've got that colour coming through. That's not very straight, is it? I'll get that. Maybe I'll just sit him in the oasis for the moment. Okay. One of the problems with this particular container is that you've got to get it right the first time because there's not much room at the bottom. Once you make a mistake and you start to fiddle around with it, you end up things falling over. So that's and now we can add in from the front. Okay. Moving them again. It looked a bit too 1, 2, 3. I'm trying to get away from that look of the 1, 2, 3. I'll put that one there, and perhaps so bring it around so you can see that again. It's mice in here. Mice in this little thing. And I think on this side, I'll take him out of there and put in just a few pieces of wheat. I had a whole lot of wheat, a whole bundle of it, and then, of course, when you want to use it, you can't find it. Is that why we end up with more and more stuff all the time? Because we can't find what we've already bought. And apart from filling in his bottom a bit, one of the nice things about parallel designs and about vegetative designs is that you can see things at the back through things, so that you get nice depth through things doing that. So this is probably a very, very simple take on Halloween with simulated pumpkins.
So did you pick the red because you couldn't get the pumpkin? So because you were getting...
Yes.
Otherwise, if you had a pumpkin, you would have used the orange.
Yes, yeah. So I've tried to make sure that the colour moves all the way through it. And I'll just put him in there. See, now I've got holes where I put those tubes before. And so I didn't end up using the tubes. So there you go, Halloween, sort of harvest style, parallel style, whatever. So there you go.